It's early September 2025, so naturally there's only one bug game that people are going crazy for, Kabuto Park. What's this? I have a notification. Let me just go look at the Steam charts real quick. Oh no! In Kabuto Park, you are just a regular kid heading to summer camp. But the summer camp is a little bit unusual. We meet another child named Midori who's going to walk us through everything there is to do here. We start off at the map. There are a number of different locations we can choose from, but only one at the very beginning of the game. This game is all about finding, catching, and battling different bugs. So on this map we can click around and look at the number of bugs that exist in each area and what their rarity is before deciding where we actually want to go catch the bugs at. Once we make our selection, we head down into one of the 4 areas where we can just click on some different interactable elements on the screen and a bug will pop up for us to catch. It is a pretty straightforward system. If you press the button while it's over the red, the bug will get away. If you press it over the blue, you'll get a little bit closer and the bug will get easier to catch, or you can just hit the green right away and catch the bug right there. Bugs also come in different rarities, with the more rare bugs being more difficult to catch, and once we snag our first rare bug, we earn the achievement Hard Catch. We're honestly kind of pretty much turned free at this point. I mean, we can only go in this one little farm area to catch bugs so far, but I decided to just keep heading on back in and catching as many bugs as we can. In the early stages of the game, you can only catch 2 on any given mission, but there's no drawback to doing the missions, so we just hop in, take a look at the new ones we caught, and then keep going back in. Once we've added a couple bugs to the collection, I decided to meet back up with Midori and see what's going on. In our collection, we can take a look at all of the bugs that we've caught and kept. We can also actually turn them in, we'll get to that later, or we can go into the battle screen. This is how you progress through the game, and then there is also the shop screen, which you can use your gold to purchase honey, which will make catching bugs easier, candy to power up your bugs, or other items such as the boots, which will allow you to access more areas in the game. So if we're going to be heading into the big battle tournament, I guess we better head back out and catch as many of these little beetles as we can. I mean, heading in here, we've got to grab the absolute toughest squad that we can, right? And I absolutely love the look of these rhino beetles. They seem like just what we're looking for over here. After a couple rounds of catching, it turns out that we've caught all of the bugs currently available on the farm. That is to say, there's going to be more added later, so no achievement for us quite yet. Once we finish up our first round of catching, I decide that we're probably good enough to take on the first battle. I mean, doesn't look like a super tough team on the other side, so we throw in our 3 super tough rhino beetles, and we're ready to take Midori on. So the way battles work in this game is the 2 opposing teams of bugs get placed down on this tambourine. Then the teams go back and forth, each one having a turn to push the other team. In addition to all of the bugs having their own stat blocks, they also have somewhat unique sets of cards that are associated with them. So if you put a certain bug in your deck, you will have the cards associated with that bug included. And then you can go ahead and play those cards in battle to give you buffs or take away stats from your opponent to make the pushing a little bit easier or harder. Once we finish up this battle, we earn the achievement My Fave for winning a battle with 3 of the same bug, and My First Badge for winning our first badge. Once we win a battle, we get access to a couple of rewards, namely candy and gold, and then we also advance to the next day. And there's only 31 days in August, so we need to be a little bit wary of that. So with a whole 15 gold rattling around in our pocket, we can actually make some purchases, and we're going to start with making uncommon and rare bugs appear a little bit more often. We'll get all of the upgrades eventually, so it doesn't super matter the order that we do things, but, you know, for what it's worth. The other way that we can improve our bugs is by leveling them up. Now, when I first saw this, I thought it was going to be kind of like the Pokemon Go system where you need to catch the same bug over and over again to get candy specific for that bug. But that's actually not the case. Anytime you catch a bug that you decide not to keep, you can trade in for some candy, and then you can use those candies to power up any of your other bugs. So it's time to juice a couple of our rhino beetles up and take on some more battles. And it turns out that juicing 2 of our 3 rhino beetles was a pretty good decision, because we can then earn the achievement Challenger for winning a battle with less bugs than our opponent. Really isn't any benefit to doing this other than for this achievement, so we're gonna go back to the 3 squad after this. Except I did decide to get a little bit funky with it and throw a golden heart beetle in our squad instead of our 3rd rhino beetle, just to make things look a little bit different, I guess. And I'm gonna go ahead and say that that was the right move when we immediately earn the achievement Expeditive for winning a battle in less than 10 seconds immediately after that. We didn't even need to play any cards or anything. It was crazy. With a couple battles under our belt now, we have 20 coins saved up that we can spend on some new rain boots. This is pretty big because this will allow us to actually access Calm Lake, the second area with quite a few new bugs for us to take a look at. It's honestly kind of a welcome challenge because the bugs here are definitely a step up in difficulty to catch, which is nice because it was getting a little bit boring back at the farm. So of course it's time for us to play around with catching some more bugs. Another mechanic in this game that I've never seen anywhere else before is that sometimes when you go to catch a bug, a shiny version will actually appear. These are even harder to catch, but for catching our first one, we get rewarded with the Sparkly Bug achievement. So we catch some more bugs and then play out some more battles, and once we finish one of them, we head back out to the main map, and we get an update from Midori telling us that it's getting a little bit hotter in the season, so some new bugs might be appearing in some areas that we've already explored, which is pretty neat. I've got to say, I honestly do like the idea of needing to return back to the farm and the pond, areas that we previously have pretty much outgrown at this point, but getting deeper into the game, you have to head on back and catch some new bugs. I just think it's kind of fun. I decided pretty early on that the most fun way to play this game is definitely going to be to pretty quickly switch back and forth between catching bugs and doing battles. So we hop back in for another battle, and we earn the achievement Who Was That for winning against the game's creator. Luckily, the creator of the game wasn't packing a super difficult team or anything. We decide to head back out on the ranch, and we earn the achievement This Game Has Too Many Bugs for catching 100 bugs. Clearly, we have been doing that grinding off screen, not just showing up with a bunch of diamonds or nothing. We also managed to snag a pretty rare praying mantis on the farm as well. Honestly, if I wasn't planning on rocking with my original beetle boys, he would probably be making the squad. Jumping forward a couple more days, we get visited by Midori again, who has come to drop off something pretty cool actually. We now have access to a terrarium on the side of our collection. So we can look at our collection of bugs and throw our favorite boys in there, like our rhino beetles and our shiny blue banded bee, and then we can click over to the terrarium to see them all hanging out in there. And we can also earn the achievement You Can Pet the Bug for interacting with a bug 10 times in the terrarium. 10 times in the terrarium is kind of a tongue twister. I did that in one take. That's impressive. Coming up to our next big match, it turns out that we're actually in for a boss fight. So this seems like it's going to be a jump up in difficulty, so it's time to finally finish leveling my boys up. And I also tried to take a peek at buying the next level of boots, but it turns out that we actually need the next badge in order to buy those anyway. So I guess it's time for the boss battle. I was expecting the first boss fight to be a real brawl, kind of testing us, seeing how many bugs we've caught and if we've been able to fully level our guys up yet, especially since it's a beetle v beetle full battle, but we actually kind of stomp. We don't really need to use that many cards, and we take down the second boss of the game pretty easily to earn the achievement Another One. And as a reward for taking out the second boss, we decide to go ahead and head on over to pick up our cool new boots, which give us access to the Pine Forest and a couple new bugs. We've also actually managed to reach the middle of August, so now we can access more bugs over at the farm and the lake. So with that notification, of course, we decide to head back to the farm to try to catch all of the new bugs that have been added in. But it's a little bit surprising when we actually earn the achievement Forest Expert for catching all bugs available in the Pine Forest instead. Turns out that there is some bug overlap, and we happen to catch the one that finished up the Pine Forest before we finished up the farm. Weird. After that, we can snag our Humble Bumblebee, the final bug that we needed to finish up the farm, as we earn the achievement Farm Expert. And of course, who could forget the Sunburst Beetle, the legendary final encounter of Calm Lake that was stopping us from earning the achievement Lake Expert. Coming up to our next big boss fight, we see our opponent has a beetle, a stag, and a tree hopper, but they're still not maxed out level at 15 like we are, so I decided to just rock out with the squad that we've been using with no changes. And, yeah, it's kind of crazy that you can just rock out with the same squad that you used from the very beginning of the game all the way through. I mean, maybe if I would have picked some weaker bugs to start out with, it wouldn't have been so easy, but I was kind of expecting, even though this is like a chill game, we would still need to switch the team up a little bit, but no issues at all, really. Especially since we just earned the achievement Gold Medal for earning our 3rd badge. And of course, with that badge locked down, we can buy the final upgrade of the boots, and we can head off into Crawler Swamp, which definitely has the largest collection of difficult bugs in the entire game. There's an additional mechanic here where if you don't catch the bug fast enough, the bar to catch it will slowly fade and reappear someone else, so you've got to be pretty quick. The most impressive rare target here is definitely the spiny flower mantis that definitely looks super cool, but is also a real pain to catch. Very small bars, moving very quickly, and appearing very rarely, at least for me at this stage of the game, so naturally it was the final bug that we needed to catch in this area. But once we get that guy locked down in our collection, we earn the achievement Swamp Expert for catching all of the bugs available in the swamp, and Entomologist for catching all of the bugs in the entire park. I feel like this game is kind of in a weird position because it has such a focus on being like a chill vibe. It doesn't want to put too much stress on catching bugs or doing the battles. So I feel like I honestly haven't really focused that much on either. I mean, there's not too much to the catching mechanic. You just click the button when it's over the green line. And the battles have a little bit more to them. But when you can just brute force through the game with the Beetle squad, it seems like you don't need to combo things out too regularly. One thing that I did need to achieve in a battle though was totally buffed for having 10 effects on our team during a battle, and once we find an opponent that can kind of match us, we grind getting that one out. The only achievements that I was really worried about earning this game, and worried is kind of in air quotes because it didn't seem super challenging to do, were the achievements based on being in a battle for a long time, mostly just because we kind of stomped the majority of the battles that we took on. But since this one was going so well and we had so many buffs up already, we decided to earn the achievement Held for the Music as well for winning a battle in more than 2 minutes. After day 25, we get another visit from Midori, who is sad that summer is coming to a close, but excited that that means more shiny bugs will be appearing in all locations around the map. Now don't get me wrong, the shiny bugs aren't going to be super common or anything, they're still rare, but they're a little bit more common than they were before. Our final goal for bug catching is for collecting 3 shiny bugs. We already had one that we caught pretty early on, considering we had no upgrades whatsoever, and our second one we get pretty quickly after the new shiny rules get put in place. We get this pretty cool looking blue ox beetle. However, grabbing our 3rd shiny will unfortunately not be quite so easy. After about 30 minutes of encounters, I finally managed to find another shiny guy, but of course, naturally, it was the most difficult to catch bug in the game, and I just absolutely whiffed on the spiny flower mantis and cost myself all of that time. Heartbreaking. The grind wasn't all bad though. I did learn about one new mechanic that I didn't know about before. When I tried to sell this ruddy darter, I got a little pop-up informing me that I was about to sell a bug with perfect stats. I honestly hadn't really even looked at the stats since the beginning of the game, so I didn't realize this was a thing. Cool that it gives you a little warning though, because it let me know I should keep that one. About 15 minutes after that, we finally managed to track down our third and final shiny of the game. 15 minutes doesn't sound like too much, but when you consider that this was a pretty short game in general, it felt a lot longer. And what do you know, the shiny that came to rescue us was our trusty Rhino Beetle, and he brought along the achievement Shiny Huntress as well. So that is all of the catching-based achievements done. We pretty much just need to finish the game out, and luckily for us, it's just in time for kind of the Elite Four of the final battles of the game. From this point forward, every battle is a boss battle, and we're going to have some pretty big challenges in front of us if we want to complete all of them. Though, again, it's a pretty chill game. They're not going to be that difficult. You also might notice that our team has changed a little bit between the battles. We actually finally had to make a swap out for one of our Rhino Beetles in exchange for a Stag Beetle. And if you're wondering why that is, it's not because we started losing battles or anything, it's actually just because we needed this card that we're hovering over in the center of the screen added to our deck. Overcharged Kick is a card that uses 10 energy and does huge knockback based on the total amount of energy that you have stored up in your pocket. So if you let a battle run for a long time and save up like 50 energy in your pocket, you can use that ability to do a huge knockback attack, which earns us the achievement Wham, our final achievement based on doing things in battle, so we only have one achievement remaining. So now it's time for our final battle against the League Champion, to use a term that I just coined out of nowhere. Of course, the big final boss fight of the game is our friend Midori, who is packing a pretty powerful team. She's also rocking 3 beetles, which includes one of them being very, very shiny and nice looking. I decided to go with the team that we brought into that final battle again. Maybe I should have switched back out for my other Rhino Beetle to finish up what they started, but you know, this was the team we already had put together, so let's let the boys play. Also, you know, you never know, we might need to use the huge knockback if it comes up or something, I don't know. I would say this is definitely the best battle in the game. I mean, it helps that our opponent has a fully leveled up team for the most part, and they're all much stronger bugs than the average character was using before, but eventually we win the war of beetle attrition, taking out Midori and earning the achievement Summer Champion for winning the Beetle Battle Summer Tournament. And so the whole gang celebrates, you know, all of these characters whose names I definitely know, and remember, I'm just not going to repeat them because obviously we were all paying attention and we all know them by heart by now. All the characters are pretty sad that we're leaving for the summer, but hey, maybe we'll come back next year. But for now, we can say that we have officially done everything in Kabuto Park. But how did we do? Kabuto Park took me about 2.5 hours to finish, which is a short game, which is why I said that the time spent shiny hunting was a little bit crazy. About 45 minutes in total, and that includes one pretty lucky shiny early on. If I would have caught that mantis that I missed out on earlier, it wouldn't have been that crazy of a time, I guess. But, you know, what are the odds that we hit a shiny on the most difficult to capture bug in the game? Also, I was kind of cycling back and forth between all of the areas. It just so happened to be finally hitting it in that final swamp area that was the most difficult. Overall, I would say this was a pretty fun experience. It's definitely a very chill game, at least more on the chill side. I thought some of the battles would be more difficult. I really thought we would need to mix the team up a little bit more, maybe do some like type-based battling or something like that. Maybe that's a little bit too complicated for what this game wants to be, but I was prepared to really be grinding out candy and switching the team up all the time, but turns out you can pretty much just run beetles all the way through the beginning of the game straight through to the end. But you know, that's okay. Honestly, if they made a Kabuto Park 2 that was like the next year on and it was a little bit more difficult, I'd be down to play that. The game does open up. Once you finish the game, you can replay all of the battles, but all of the bugs will be set to level 20, which will definitely make things more difficult and probably more enjoyable. I will say this game was absolutely adorable though. I mean, the art was definitely super cool, and I'm happy that I checked this one out. I mean, what other bug-based game could I possibly need to play sometime soon? I don't know. But as always, please feel free to leave any comments that you have in the comment section down below, or if you want to recommend any other bug-based games for me to check out. Thanks so much for watching, hope you had a good time, and I'll see you in the next one. See you! That was kind of a double since I missed last time's.